My guest today is Michelle Spencer. Michelle knows what it's like to feel trapped in exhaustion, chronic pain, and anxiety while running a business, raising a family, and searching for answers traditional medicine couldn't provide. Faced with gut issues, systemic candida, and toxic mercury overload, she refused to accept we don't know as an answer. Just as she reclaimed her health, her husband was diagnosed with advanced colorectal cancer, and after his healing, 2 cycling accidents forced her into yet another journey of resilience and recovery. Through it all, Michelle uncovered 3 profound shifts that transformed her life, and she is here to share that with you. Now she helps women break free from burnout, pain, and overwhelm, guiding them to reclaim their power, joy, and vitality. Hi, Michelle. I'm so happy to have you on my podcast. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Eva. It's so great to be here. I appreciate you inviting me.
I appreciate you being here as well. Let's just jump into the middle of it, and I would love to hear a little bit more about your background and the challenges you faced in the past.
Well, I have spent years trapped in a cycle of anxiety, pain, exhaustion, self doubt, just physically and emotionally and spiritually just depleted. My body was exhausted from a systemic candida and a mercury toxic load and just unresolved traumas. So my world was really shaken when my husband was diagnosed with colorectal cancer. So there was a lot of uncertainty for us. And we were looking at just having to navigate the complexities of Western medicine versus a holistic approach.
Which sounds like you had to do the same thing with your health issues. When we talked before recording the podcast, you told me that you were dealing with your health issues when you were really young, and you had to take control of your health as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that to start?
Sure, yeah. So when I was in my 20s, I had some health conditions. I was not feeling well and I didn't know what was going on. So I went to I actually had some blood work done. And that's when I found out that I had mercury toxicity. And I didn't realize where that had come from. And what I learned is that it was from all these amalgam fillings that I had over the years. I had lots of root canals done, and with the fillings, they had mercury toxicity in there, and so I had to have all of these fillings removed and redo everything. And then I had to go through some basically what's called chelation therapy to rid my body of that load.
Wow.
So it was pretty intense. It was actually quite scary at the time because I was having to unload all this burden that my body had been carrying. Was having gut issues as a result. I had to go in and, well, that was tied to the candida, which I learned all about at that point in time. I had no idea what candida was at that time. And back in the day, you would go to the grocery store and you didn't realize what was in your food.
Oh, yeah.
And so I started really learning about reading labels and getting really clear on what was going into my body. And so I had to make some major dietary changes and really switch things up in regards to how I was eating and all of that. So it was quite an interesting period of my life.
I feel like in the unlucky situation, you were lucky because you found this out at a pretty young age. You said that you were at the beginning of your 20s. I feel like a lot of people probably would have gone longer to, carrying all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, I was single at the time, and thank goodness I had the support of my family to help me with the expense involved with the treatments and all of that, because it was quite an ordeal. And, but I'm so glad that I got to the other side of that because it gave me more power over, I could step into my power and really have a way to address the problem and get to the root issue, which is one of the key things that I believe. You've got to get to the root to put a Band-Aid on an issue that's going on. Your body really does keep the score, and it talks to you if you listen to it. So we just really, tune in and listen to what our body's trying to tell us.
Yeah, I believe in that too. And I guess at a young age, having to go through that experience, it gives you kind of like a foundation of where you live your life from. So if I feel like that if you have an experience like this and you go down to the root of the problem, your perception changes of life, your entire life.
Oh yeah.
How do you think that this experience just itself changed you, and how did it I guess add to your life?
So I recognize that we really do have control over what we put into our mouths and the treatments that we get, the doctors that we choose. And we have the power to take responsibility for how we want to live. And we don't have to stay hostage to this. You don't, even if you are going through some sort of struggle physically or emotionally, whatever it might be, if you do the digging and go within and really take a deep dive in, you can really see what's happening and honor your body, because your body, at one point in time, I felt like my body was, betraying me. But actually what it was doing was helping me by speaking to me, communicating with me through these symptoms that were showing up. So I think that just what I recognized is that you've really got to tune in and listen. And so I guess that was empowering for me, because I recognized that, hey, I did have the power and I did have the ability to make a shift and do something different.
Yeah, no, that's very powerful. We have control over what we put into our body. That's really, really important. So, so you also mentioned that after you went through your health challenges, then your husband later in life had some challenges, and you were by his side, helping him. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So in 2013, my husband was diagnosed with colorectal cancer. It was stage 3B, so it was advanced. I think that at that point in time, when this happened, we were shocked. We weren't expecting it. It got to the point where his body just couldn't function anymore. And we ended up going to the ER because he had a bowel blockage. And so at that point in time, I just assumed it was he just needed to get things cleared out. Cancer was not even on the radar for us at that point. And in fact, what's interesting is thinking back to that time, I was sitting in the waiting room of the hospital because he ended up having to go in for emergency surgery to remove the blockage. And I was thinking, oh gosh, I'm so glad it's not cancer like all of these other people in this room. All these people, I was sitting there watching them getting the diagnosis from the doctor. And I was just thinking, oh gosh, I'm so thankful that's not the case for us, which was not the case. Actually, it was the case. I thought it was not the case, but it ended up being the case. And it was like I was just in a state of shock, frankly, when the doctor told us this, because it was like, okay, so what's next? What do we do? And that was a big shift for me, because I recognized that I'd already started the process of pursuing holistic, modalities for healing.
For yourself,
For myself,
yes,
yes.
yes,
And
yes.
then my husband, he was like, okay, well, I'm just going to do what the doctors tell me, because, I trust these doctors that I just met. And I'm thinking, no, we're not doing that. And so basically it was a really challenging time for us in our marriage, because it was scary. He was, he just had this horrendous surgery. He ended up going in for a procedure and then ended up coming out with a colostomy bag. And then the doctors were sending in the chemo doctors. We're going to do chemo. You're going to do radiation. You're going to do all these things. And I'm like, wait, hold the phone. No, we're not doing any of that. And so having to work through that process with him and get him on board with doing something not fear-based was quite an experience. And he did it. He ended up getting to the place where he realized, okay, I want to heal. I want to live. People that have had cancer or get cancer, there's typically something else underlying all of that. And for him, the root issue was resentment and bitterness that he'd been shoving down for so many years. And finally, he had a situation with a family member that everything just shifted overnight.
This all sounds extremely difficult, and as you're going through this time, you said that you were also dealing with anxiety and weight gain. I want to hear a little bit about your transformation, within these challenges. Um, how did you move forward? There's always a moment for people when they shift and they say, "I have the power, and I'm going to create what I want." When did that happen to you during this process?
Well, going back to the story about my husband and his colorectal cancer diagnosis, that was a real pivotal time for us because it was like we were doing something that was totally not your typical approach. Most of the people that received these type of diagnoses followed what the doctors said, and we created our own protocol. We found doctors that would listen to what we were wanting to do and that would support us. So that involved a lot of detox therapies, a lot of just emotional work, addressing, getting to the core, the root of everything. I was going and getting help through some emotional release techniques. I was helping support my kids. I mean, you got to think about it. My kids, my son, he's our oldest. He was going into ninth grade, so that's high school for us where we live. And then our daughter was finishing elementary school. So I was thinking, am I going to end up being widowed? What am I going to do? How am I going to raise these children on my own? And then to top it off, my husband and I have a business together. So we're entrepreneurs. So how am I going to run this business? Because he's the one that's, handles the day-to-day operations of it. I do the back end stuff. I do the insurance, payroll, all that kind of thing, reporting and all that. And I was just thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do. So at that point, we made it through. Okay. So he made it through all of that. We got the support from the doctors that we needed. He did all of these different treatments and protocols that were more holistic in mind. And as you see behind me, those are essential oils. It's not nail polish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I had started using essential oils back in 2010. So we'd already started kind of the ditching and switching process. So I guess really thinking about it, that whole process and switching over to more holistic and, just natural approach to supporting the body and the mind and our spirit. It's kind of a three-way street. It's the mind, body, spirit connection. It all has to work together. So I guess just, fast forwarding, we made it through his process of healing. It took about 1.5 to 2 years, multiple surgeries, all kinds of things, but he did get to the other side of that. And then after that, what happened was 2020. And we all know what happened in 2020. That was the lockdown and all kinds of things happening in our world. And then that affected our business because we have a business that's in the construction industry. And so there were some issues alongside that, financial, concerns. So that's probably when the weight gain really started happening for me, was in 2020. And that's also when I decided to invest in myself and start investing in being mentored and really getting to the nitty gritty of what was going on within me. And what I recognized is that I didn't have a lot of self-confidence. I didn't feel worthy in so many ways. And I was portraying myself as a very confident woman. I mean, some of the people that know me even my husband's mother at our rehearsal dinner said, when we were getting married, said, "You're a force to be reckoned with." So, we can wear these masks, we can portray ourselves one way, and then on the inside be very insecure, have uncertainty, have all of these things happening within us, but we want to portray something completely different. And that's when I really recognized I had been looking outside of myself for validation. I've been looking outside of myself for about worthiness. I didn't really feel seen or heard, and I just didn't feel confident. I guess that was really what I when I started recognizing that and doing the deep internal work is when the shift started happening, because I started recognizing I have not been really feeling my feelings. I haven't been really, I mean, even from a spiritual standpoint, there was a disconnect there because I was just kind of going through the motions and living, but not truly living, you know.
So it's so interesting that you say that. I could relate to this. My own story is that a lot of things that I accomplished in my life was because I wanted to be validated. I thought that I had to do all this work, work on myself, become this perfect human being because I wanted to have validation from life, the universe, people, whatever I can get it from. So in a way, I don't know if that felt the same way to you, but I can really relate to that feeling of looking for validation and having to go deep within you to find self-love. So what did you discover on this journey?
So there's a couple things you said that I completely resonate with: the self-trust and the self-love. I even have love is my word this year, and I don't know if you can see this, but that's my bracelet. I've got love.
Yes, I see it. Yeah.
And I've got keep it simple. The KISS theory. So I just like to have these as reminders for, you know, for myself. The self-love piece of it that's integral. I mean, that's critical, not integral, but critical to having just the confidence and the peace. And speaking of peace, so my not self theme, I am I'm working with human design. That's one of the things I incorporate into my mentoring that I do with women now. And what I recognized about myself was that my not self theme was anger. And anger, what is that? That's fear towards inward, right? Fear turned inwards. So I've been living in anger a majority of my life. I'm 60 years old now. So I've been around a little while. I tell everybody that I'm 29 and holding, but let's be honest, that's not the case anymore.
I love it.
But so I guess really just recognizing that we've got to love ourselves first, because if we don't fill our own cup, how can we pour into others? Because we're just caught up in this trap, this cycle. And, you know, if we're constantly people pleasing and trying to get the validation outside of ourselves rather than from our own internal spirit, then how can we ever find that peace? So I've done a lot of work with doing trauma release work and really diving into what the underlying root was with the trauma. And what I have found through this work is that it's all about energy. We're energetic beings. So I do work with a little bit of the woo-woo stuff. It's been started with the essential oils, and then it moved into, actually, when my husband had gotten his diagnosis, I decided to go and pursue some trainings and certifications in healing modalities. So I started learning about vibrational energy techniques and just really supporting the body and healing and getting to the, again, that root cause piece of it. Because if we you know, keep putting the band-aids on, then nothing's going to ever really clear out. And what I've been doing is literally clearing out the trauma that has ancestral, generational, you know, all these old belief patterns and conditioning that we take on from others. Because, you know, our family, they did the best they could, but they carry on old patterns, old belief systems from their family, and it just keeps passed down. So what I have been focusing on is being the what comes to mind is the chain breaker, you know, breaking the old patterns and opening up new opportunities for my family.
Yeah, so I want to ask you to point out this moment when you said, okay, this something's got to change.
Okay, well, what really comes to my mind is one of my coaches. I was told that you have got to stop it. You've got to shift. You've got to not be angry anymore. It's not serving you, and you're not going to move forward if you stay in this frame of, mindset. This, because it really was, it wasn't just mindset, but it was just past, trauma that had been passed on that I didn't even realize I was carrying.
Yeah,
So that was pivotal for me, because I recognized that, oh, there are ways that I can move through this. And it required having help, having the support of someone else to see what I could not see.
got it. So somebody saw you from a different perspective, gave you a perspective that you could actually live without this, and life would be better without this.
Mm-hmm.
So you were in the process of trying to let go of this anger and healing those deep traumas within you. What helped you get through it?
It was really the embodiment practice.
Mm-hmm.
Embodiment was really the key to it. Just really going deep within, and our environment is but our looking glass. So what I was seeing in others and what was triggering me that I was seeing in others was really what was going on within me. And recognize, it's really about recognition and awareness, because sometimes we can be blinded to what is really going on within us until we start seeing it in others. And I guess that was the real awakening, is recognizing that what was irritating me or triggering me is a common word people use. It was really what I needed to heal within myself.
Got it. So, during this journey, as you work on yourself on a deeper level, what were your challenges?
So I've been involved in masterminds, and I've had accountability partners to support me through my journey, because I think we can't do it alone. We're not designed to do any of this alone. And what I recognized is that, and getting feedback from people that I trusted, that I was comfortable sharing the nitty gritty with, all of the hard stuff, was that I really just wanted to kind of numb out and not really feel the pain. And that was integral part of the process to move through it and to look at what's going on inside of me and outside of me, more as an observer. And I started learning how to let go, and surrendering has been a key thing for me. And just really, it's almost like, the analogy I like to use is like if you're and you're sitting at the bottom of the ocean. So the waves up on top are really, fast and furious, but down at the bottom of the ocean, you're sitting there and it's complete peace. And so being the observer, letting life happen, letting the, ups and downs, all the things that happen, because we always are going to have some form of trial and be tested in life, and learning how to, be at peace with it. It's almost like you ride the wave till you get to the other side, because no wave lasts forever.
Yeah.
And in fact, that was something I learned when I went through a training with a clinical psychologist on doing aroma freedom work, and learning how to use the essential oils and tap into the limbic system, the amygdala of the brain, and clear out trapped emotions, trapped memories, and just feeling it in the body, inhaling the aroma, and really just moving out the trapped traumas through feeling it and experiencing what was the connection, what was causing the anger, what was causing the procrastination, what was causing the fears, all of these things.
Do you feel that the setback was that you kept going back to the old patterns, and you had to learn how to surrender and just let all of that pass? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, it's really just letting go is really what it boils down to. But
letting go is not easy.
So
that's actually I think really important to talk about this, because we hold on to stories. It's part of our identity, but I think that it's a way to protect ourselves. That's why we hold on to stories. There are certain behaviors and certain emotions we feel because we build those up as a pattern, and it's all about survival, right? So now you're letting go of something that helped you survive. Like getting angry in certain situations could help you to kind of move out of a situation or keep yourself away from situations or people. And it's a way of protecting yourself, your identity, your beliefs, your life in any ways. So how do you learn to let go? How did you learn to let go?
So one of the things I learned about myself when I started tapping into this human design thing that I do was that survival has been my mode of operandi, and self-preservation, protecting myself, gaining the weight. That's the way the body protects the organs of the body when you're under so much stress. It's like a loop. We just keep spinning and spinning and spinning in this cycle of burnout because we're just doing the same thing over and over and over and never really moving forward. And I guess I just had enough. You just get to the point where you just decide, is this how I want to live the rest of my life? I'm, 60 years old. I just want to enjoy what time I have left and really focus on what feels good and what I want versus living in this place of just constant fear. Because it really is fear. I think that's what really prevents a lot of us from really moving forward. And I mean, I'll tell you, being on this podcast, I was a little bit afraid to be on here with you today because this is new for me, sharing my story in this venue. But I want to get my word out, my story out, and help other people know that you're not alone, you're not broken. And, there's opportunities for you to live in a way that is so vibrant and really thrive, not just survive. I mean, it's getting back to the survival piece. The survival, that's just existing. Is that really the way I wanted to continue my life? No.
Yeah. So I heard a couple of things here. First, you became aware of this anger that you've been carrying this, and then a coach helped you to recognize that you can live in a different way. And then you start working on yourself. It kept coming back, and eventually, after you had the awareness, you consciously chose and started focusing on feeling good. You said that I choose to feel good. I want to feel good. So that was your point of letting go of that story and the anger, because you realize that it's really not serving you and it's not serving what you want in your life.
Well, and the part about it's not serving you, that's one of the things that I would share with my clients when I was facilitating the raindrop sessions on them. I would say, are you ready to release that which no longer serves you? So it was like, okay, I'm telling other people, do you want to move through this? But was I really doing that? I don't think at the time I recognized that I was not. And so I was still staying stuck in this pattern, the story that you said. And what I've recognized really in the past year has been pivotal, because it's like, I can rewrite my story.
Oh, I love that.
And also I can set boundaries as to what I want and how I want to be treated and how I should treat others, or not should, because I'm not going to shit on myself because that's not good to do that. But I guess the point is that really recognizing that, do you want to stay in a state of shame, which is way down on the scale, on the empowerment scale or vibrational scale or frequency? Or do you want to be in love?
That's supposed to be the lower frequency. The shame.
Yeah, shame is one of the lowest.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that I did have my dark night of the soul moment, and we didn't really go into much detail about this, but at one point I had 2 cycling accidents within a 6-year period, and I ended up getting an MRI to see what was going on structurally with my body, because at one point, a couple years ago, I was in such chronic pain. My lower back hurt so bad. Getting up and out of the bed was an accomplishment. And at that point, I was like, do I really want to live anymore like this? This is miserable. This is miserable. And I actually thought about just ending it. I think we all kind of go through that place where we hit rock bottom and we're like, do I really want to live like this? At that point, I was like, I'm kind of done. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. I have 2 adult children. I've, invested in supporting them and raising them to live an abundant life. It's all about abundance and living abundantly well. That's my tagline. Living abundantly well with Michelle. And I just wanted to move past that. It's either throw in the towel or do something different.
Yeah, I think that's a lowest point when that's a turning point. That was a turning point for me too when I went through that after losing my mom. When I had to make a decision, what do I want out of my life? Is this how I want to move through it? Because if this is it, this is not going to work. So I had to make a decision. I completely understand that point. So it sounds like that you really created this transformation, this full transformation, and let go of a lot of trauma and emotions that did not serve you anymore. It had a place in your life at one point, but at this point now you realize that it doesn't, and you let it go. So can you tell me a little bit about how did that change your life? How I'm sure that a lot of things changed, because when we change from within, things change in the outside as well. How did it change your relationships, your work, or your daily routine, or how you're feeling? What can you tell us about that?
So my husband and I have been married for 26 years. We're going to celebrate
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're celebrating 27 in March next month.
Awesome.
And it's just, I don't know. I wake up each morning with a new outlook, a new perspective. It's like I'm excited to start the day rather than just wanting to sleep in or dread what's going to be the next thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I love to have fun. I'm very, I love to travel. I love to go places. I love to do new things. I'm very adventurous. I still haven't jumped out of that airplane, but that is still on my bucket list.
Not for me.
I'm trying to get my husband to go skydiving. Well, no, skydiving, forget that. He won't do that. But I'm trying to get him to go up into a hot air balloon. He said absolutely not. But I got him to go into a helicopter in the Grand Canyon. I'm just saying, we had so much fun. We did it not once, but twice. And we ended up, they took us into the Grand Canyon and we had champagne, whole 9 yards. But I just, I want to just live. I just feel like I have a newfound freedom, I guess is the way to state it. Just each day, I look at my husband and I think, wow, how did you stay with me all these years? Why did you stay with me all these years? I really, frankly, did ask him that recently. And he said, because you're fun. And I'm thinking, wow, he really put up with a lot. But then, it goes 2 ways. That's part of marriage is supporting each other in the good, the bad, all the things. And I guess what I've recognized is that I am so lucky. I have someone that loves me. Like, I want people to understand what it feels like to live all out, live in all caps. That's one of my phrases that I like to say, live in all caps, because life it's a gift.
Yeah. And what, the thought that came to me as you spoke is that when we are not present with ourselves, and we're not fully accepting with ourselves, which is, the good, bad, and the ugly, when we look at all of that, we miss the present. we miss the present moment, and we miss everything that's in that present moment as well, because we can, what I hear you say is that you look at life from a different perspective, a perspective of feeling at peace, and now you're paying attention to all the wonderful things that you have in your life, and you live with a sense of gratitude and joy, and choose to have fun. Is that right?
Oh, yes. And it really is about being present. I can remember I would go on vacations. We would go to our favorite place. We like to go to Florida, to seaside area on 30A. It's absolutely beautiful there. And it's kind of just where we always go. And I would bring all my stuff with me to the beach. And the beach is like, that's where that's my soul. It's where I find it's my respite place. It's just soothes my soul to be near the ocean. We really need to find a place. I'm in Texas. I'm not anywhere near the ocean. But yeah, just being able to be present and just be in the moment and be at peace. You can't buy that. You can't buy that. You can go, this just came to my mind. I would buy clothes. I would go shopping, shop to drop, do everything to try to fill that void. You can't do it with things. Mm-hmm. You just can't. And so finding that peace of mind and just being able to honor who I am and why God created me. He created each of us for a purpose. And I feel like mine is to help women reconnect with that radiant rebel essence within them. Because we all have a kind of a little bit of a rebel in us. My superhero, her name is Radiant Rebel. I just created her this last year. And just connecting to that superhero identity has been pivotal, because that villain will take us down all day long and whisper, stuff into I call it the inner roommate that's trash talking you. That inner roommate will totally take you off course and kind of keep you in a place of, like you said earlier, survival versus really living, really truly living.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Looking back at your story and your life, what do you feel the most proud of? And not just your life, but I guess also your transformation.
Well, I mean, letting go of the anger was a big part of it, because on the other side of that is the peace. And then just really recognizing that God created someone special. One of my coaches likes to say, God doesn't create junk, and he didn't start with you. I love that, because we're each unique. And really recognizing my unique essence, my unique voice, my unique contribution to this world, because we're all here to serve one another and to love one another. And even in the midst of chaotic times, whatever that might be, whether it be in our businesses or in our relationships or in our, just our journey in general, things are going to come up. But being able to just enjoy the journey, and know that life is happening for you, not to you, is it's just wonderful.
I know that. Thank you for sharing. So, as we're getting to the end of the podcast, I have 3 questions that I ask every guest. And the first question is, what advice would you give to your past selves who were struggling?
To recognize that you're not broken, you're not alone, you are supported, and you are loved, and that it's important to really focus on recognizing that and giving yourself credit and honoring yourself. One of the things I like to do is have a brag book. So I keep track of my wins and celebrations, no matter how big or small they are. I think that's so important. And also to just have fun and, live life fully, play, live it out in all caps, and, dance like no one's watching. Enjoy just being on this earth, because it's a short life. And why do we have to stay so caught up in being afraid? Don't let fear rule you. Really, just enjoy relishing each moment, and being in gratitude, as you said. The attitude of gratitude. It's just being thankful and noticing the little things. Even just like, I've got a golden retriever. His name's Winston, and we go for hikes together. And I mean, having a dog, oh my gosh, he's our second golden retriever, and he's just full of so much spirit. He's like type A personality, just like me. And we get out there and we go hiking, and he swims. I had to teach him how to swim. He didn't know how to swim until I taught him. He was afraid to swim.
So sweet.
And now I got in there with him. My husband's like, you had to get in the water with that dog. I'm like, well, that's what we do. We do it with our kids. It's like our, third child. And so just enjoy the being out in nature. Enjoy celebrating yourself and others, and by all means invest in yourself, and really focus on honoring who you are. And you have the opportunity to rewrite your story. You can choose a different path. You don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to stay in that old conditioning. We're here to break the cycle, break the chain.
It's not easy, but it is definitely possible. And for people who are out there who are struggling, just like I used to struggle too, and there are always challenges in life, and there are always lessons that we can learn and move through. But it's possible to move through them, so that's really, really important. What is the biggest lesson you learned on your journey?
Just
one lesson, if you could say the most important lesson.
Well, I'm just going to go back to my word for the year, and it's love. Love yourself so you can pour into others.
Love that. Thank you. And so what advice would you give, and what advice would you share with someone who is going through similar challenges that you went through?
Well, first and foremost, get some support. Find someone that you can trust, that will guide you, that will support you, walk you through what you're going through, because we can't do it alone. We're not designed to do it alone. We need community. And I offer community through what I'm offering to the women I work with. So it's mentoring, but also community. So I just feel like it's important to stay connected and not go into isolation, because when we get frustrated or sad or angry or any of these emotions that we feel, it's easy to isolate. And I did it. Yes. But, I learned a lot about myself in this space right here that I'm sitting in. I actually met myself in this room, is what I like to say. And meeting yourself is, and really falling in love with yourself. It might sound kind of cliche, but doing that deep inner work and really giving yourself permission to do the work it's like night and day. Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story so authentically. I really, really appreciate you. And I really appreciate all your wisdom that you shared with us today. You talked and you mentioned during our conversation the work that you're doing. Could you please tell the listeners about what you do and also where they can find you?
Okay, great. Yeah. So I do one-on-one mentoring for women, and I have a program called Unleashing Your Radiant Rebel. It's a 12-week program. And if you want to learn more about that and kind of understand who I work with, because I don't work with just anybody. I want to support people that are committed to doing the deep dive in, and because it takes a lot of effort to do that work. But if you're willing to do it, it's so worth it. So you can find me on michellespencer.com. And I've got a link to my social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, And so we can connect that way. I offer a complimentary consult, or vitality audit is what I like to call it. And then I offer some other things that like I could do a 60-minute breakthrough session where you can release some things that are keeping you stuck. So if you're interested in that, then we can get that scheduled. But the way to connect with me is just through my website. And there's a link on there to do that. And then also, if you want to connect with me on my community, there's a link there for that as well.
Perfect. And I'm going to be sharing all of this information in the notes of the podcast or on the YouTube channel as well. So the listeners are going to be able to find you there.
Oh, great. Yeah, well, I look forward to it.
Yes. Thank you again. And thanks for everyone tuning into the Joy of Being You podcast. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired and empowered on your own journey. If you enjoyed it, please share with your friends who could use a little encouragement. And don't forget to subscribe. You can follow the podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Google, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for even more inspiration. Your support means a lot. Thank you for being here again. Until next time, keep embracing the joy of being you.